And welcome back into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey, producer Aiden, behind the scenes. For today's live show, we'll take you through all the latest around the NFL, led by Adam Schefter's trade candidates, a long list of names. We will go through all of them. And Mel Kiper dropping his first 2026 NFL Draft Big Board. We'll begin with the trades. And the first question for you guys watching as we wait for everyone to click that notification and hop on in for the live show. I guess we'll go back to the trades. Who right now, because we did our power rankings this morning, who is actually the best team in the NFL right now? Like, it's not, I think you can make an argument for like every single team from like 1 to 13. Or like even like top 5, 1 to almost 20, you can make an argument for being in the top 5. Like, I think it's the Bucs. They've also won a crazy amount of close games, and I don't know how sustainable that truly is. I think the Rams are a top 10 team, but like they've been inconsistent this season. Like they kind of snuck by a Ravens team that has been reeling for a while now, and they also lost to the Colts and the Niners in back-to-back weeks. Like the Niners, I think Niners have a very impressive resume, but they've got so many injuries. Like how do you manage that? I think the Chiefs in 4 months or 4 weeks might be viewed as the best team, but like they're 3-3 right now. Someone argued the Chiefs beat 2 of the teams in your top 5. I'm like, yeah, they also lost 3 games. So like, how are you supposed to? Like, someone was like, well, the Chiefs beat this team. Like, yeah, but they also lost 3 others. So like, you kind of can't do the transitive property game when there's so much chaos there. So who is the best team right now in the NFL? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Who is that best team? Drew says the Jags. I've been impressed by Jacksonville. I don't know if they can keep it going. They also just lost to Seattle. I think they're can make a top 5 argument for them pretty easily with what they've done, how they've played. Makes it really challenging to properly identify who that top team actually is. So keep the comments coming. I think the Bucs winning the plurality vote. But as soon as they lose a game, no one's going to put them number 1 anymore. So like it gets really, which they play the Lions. So Monday Night Football, winner of that game, number 1 team, right? All right. How many trades happened between now and the NFL trade deadline? Schefter threw out dozen or more potential trade ideas was his line in his recent article. Kind of knock on wood because I want to screw everything up. Before filming, no trades have gone down yet this week. Wouldn't be surprised if, because we just mentioned there's like 20 teams plus view themselves as contenders, the sellers haven't fully materialized yet. And they might wait a little bit longer, just a little bit there. So how many NFL trades happen before the NFL trade deadline? I see 12 from Monty, 12 from Matthew, 8 from the Jungian Theory, 5 from Melvin, at least 10 from D. White Gamer, 4.5. What's 4.5 happen? How does the half happen? Kidding. I think you're doing the over-under there. 15, 13... 15. So I think a good amount. I do. I think a good amount of trades happen here. I'm excited to see how many, because trades are fun, and that's always a good idea on that front. I think I may have said that the Rams beat the Colts or lost to the Colts. I meant that they snuck by them, and the Eagles week was the one that they lost. So I might have misspoken that earlier. So terribly sorry. The Colts win actually looks good for the Rams because the Colts haven't lost a game beyond that. So my bad if I misspoke there, guys. Appreciate you guys calling me out for it, too. All right, who you got on Thursday Night Football? Bengals, Steelers. B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. Who you got in this one? I have watched plenty of AFC North slug fights. I have watched plenty of AFC North slug fights on short weeks. This line is only 5.5, despite the Bengals having lost 4 straight games, because I think this will be a field goal game. And it'll be probably kind of ugly. Like, it might end up being like final score 17 or 20 to 17, or something just like really, really gross and nasty like that. So who do you got? B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. Looks like you want to bring yourself on there, Aiden, or what you got there for me, my boy? What you got? Yeah, what you got?
Yeah, I'm feeling like I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. I feel like I've been saying around the office, like they're due for at least one of those, like new quarterback. They got the vibes up. Something's different type of wins here. Joe Flacco looked pretty good in the second half. And I was actually having this conversation last night with a Bengals fan friend of mine. In some ways, Joe Burrow could take notes from Joe Flacco about how fast he's getting the ball out and making that offense a little bit better. Now, you can't do the things that Joe Burrow does. I know that. But I think T. Higgins' resurgence is coming with Joe Flacco, and I think they take this one.
I'll go Bengals cover, Steelers win. Just because I think the Bengals are very much a not as good football team as Pittsburgh, but I think this is just the AFC North kind of ugly game, and I think Pittsburgh in the end just kind of runs away with the AFC North still. It's the AFC North. We know how often these games are hard-fought slugfests. Like, the Browns' offense looked terrible against Pittsburgh, but even that was, like, never quite a blowout, but, like, you never really felt like the Browns had any real chance. Even though they were only down 10 going into the fourth quarter, it never felt like Cleveland really had a chance to win that game. So, who we got? B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. Keep the votes coming. It is the pinned poll. Not overly surprised that 75% of the votes are going in favor of the Steelers. I think that tends to make a pretty good amount of sense. We will also talk Mel Kiper's 2026 NFL Draft Big Board. A surprising name, I think, at the very top. Maybe a surprising name. Mel loves boosting quarterbacks up, but that's your hint. Who is the best player in the 2026 NFL Draft? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who is the best player in the 2026 NFL Draft? At least right now. I think I have my answer, and he did not make Mel's top 5. And I was actually kind of surprised by that. Just with the way I think he's played so far this year, the way his off defense is the hint I'll give you there is played. Caleb Downs from Gaming Wizard. I think there is a scenario that exists, as crazy as this sounds, in which he is not the first Ohio State player taken just because of the positional value up front. Ruben Bain is a good one. Gabe, I think is how it's pronounced, the Illinois defensive end, I think is a good player. I don't know if he's top guy, but I think he's very good. Ruben Bain again in there. Mike is offering to hear the chat sports rankings. I want to hear if I'm number 1. How about that? Peter Woods is on there. Been a bit disappointed with the play of Peter Woods. I was hoping we were going to get better play, especially early in the year, than what we've gotten so far. He was very slow to start the season. I think he's definitely gotten better the last couple of games, as kind of all of Clemson gets a little bit better, but not nearly as impactful as I was hoping for. Same with TJ Parker there. Oh, I am not number 1, so then. Yeah, I mean, you can throw it in there. Fine. I was kidding. It doesn't actually bother me at all. Chris is spamming a Tyman season. It just reads weird. It looks like tight end 15 man. Wingo is 2027. I like David Bailey a lot, but Ruben maybe higher. I agree. I think Bailey's probably like a later round 1 guy, but because he's not a good run defender, but he's like supercharged James Houston. Let's see. We got. There was somebody else in there. Oh well, I missed it. It doesn't really matter. Oh, I see. So it's Harrison, Moose, Joey, Rolly, Chugs. God damn, I'm so far down. What the hell? He just means the Eagles guy. That's all he means. Damn, Mike. Got me all the way down to 12. That's brutal. It's all good fun. It doesn't actually bother me. I appreciate it. It's funny. All right. Appreciate that, everyone who commented. If you want us to start the show and stop with the silly nonsense, like today's video, free, simple, and easy to do. We're always aiming for the 50% like ratio. We're just shy of the 25% ratio. So hit that like button, if you haven't already done so. Coming up on today's live show, he says if it makes you feel better, I'll move you past Chase. You got a deal. Kidding, it doesn't actually matter to me. It's funny, though. Anyway, coming up, Adam Schefter's trade candidates, 30-plus names on his list we will run through on today's live show. We will have a mailbag as well. You got to use hashtag NFL. I saw somebody throw in hashtag Cowboys. This is the NFL Daily Show. You can ask about any team you want, but we do need the hashtag NFL. If there were several of those I saw already. So get them in via hashtag NFL. Skip the line altogether via Super Chat. That's for our mailbag. And Kiper dropped his first 2026 NFL Draft Big Board. So we will run through that here, all coming up live on NFL Daily. ESPN's Adam Schefter, in a recent insider piece for ESPN, dropped 30-plus trade candidates, said a dozen trades could happen. Now, no surprise, these are mostly more notable names that Schefter mentioned, and a lot of them fell into the veteran player looking to get maybe paid in the future, etc. So we'll run through all these different names, spend varying degrees on time on all of them. But if you are excited for the 2025 NFL trade deadline, show it by liking today's video. We will have coverage of it for you here on the channel. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Let's go to the first two trade candidates. We'll go by position. That's what Schefter did here, citing NFL execs and coaches, players they think could be available. Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson. Neither of these guys seem surprising. We've spent plenty of time with them in the past. The Falcons, if they would eat some money, chance Cousins gets dealt. Wilson seems like the odd man out in New York with Jackson. Like, he looked bad when he had a sub in for Jackson Dart. I don't know how much interest there is. Listen, injury happens, though. Let's move to the running backs. A very obvious name here, Breece Hall, someone that many other teams' fan bases would like to find a way to acquire. I think he's done a pretty good job so far this season. He's averaging 4.7 yards per carry. He's stuck on a bad offense. I do wonder if the Braylon Allen injury is going to reduce the chances of a Hall trade. But at 0-6, the Jets should be sellers and focusing on the future. Alvin Kamara, those Saints running back. Now, of note, for a lot of the different Saints players, they're young guys they believe in. We'll spend some time on them. They want to keep them potentially. The veteran players, guys like Kamara, guys like Cam Jordan, they've said they want to kind of finish their careers in New Orleans. And I don't know how good Alvin Kamara is anymore. Like Kendre Miller at times, look like he's a little bit better. There's pass-catching value. Maybe the offensive line and the game scripts are not good for Alvin Kamara either. Relatively cheap. I think if he was okay moving on, I think if Alvin Kamara said, I love you, New Orleans, I want to go compete for a championship my last year or two, I bet they would do it. I don't know if he's going to say that, though. Jaylen Wright of the Dolphins. Boy, the Dolphins have not drafted well in recent years, and the trading up to acquire Wright is a huge issue. I don't know why they did that, frankly. Like, they had, at the time, they had Devon A-Chain, they had Raheem Mostert, they then also drafted Ollie Gordon. Wright's the odd man out in that backfield. He has juice, doesn't seem to be fitting very well in Miami. If they could find a partner, I bet they would do it. Devin Singletary, who has done some good stuff in the past in his NFL career, is not done very much this season because he's fallen behind Tyrone Tracy. He's fallen behind Cam Scatterbo. The Giants need a running back, need a receiver, not a third back. We're a far cry from nearly 900 yards back in 2023 for him. How many trades happened before the NFL trade deadline? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. How many trades do you think end up happening? There were 3 Saints wide receivers on the list. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Brandon Cooks. Olave, I think, has a pretty high price tag because you're trying to see what Spencer Rattler and maybe Tyler Shuck have to offer. Shaheed is young and cheap. I think you have to be kind of blown away to move on from one of those two players, get a really strong offer. I think they'd love to move Brandon Cooks. I don't know who wants Brandon Cooks, though. He looked kind of washed last year in Dallas, and that's kind of continuing so far in New Orleans. Non-Saints wide receivers to mention here. Jacoby Myers of the Las Vegas Raiders, who had requested a trade before the season began and has been not that different in terms of his yards per catch. It's just the targets and the receptions seem to have dropped a little bit this campaign. The Raiders are struggling. Maybe just try Jack Besh. Alan Lazard let's call him what he is. He is, if the Steelers can't get a good receiver or a better receiver, he's a Steeler. Like this is the ultimate, hey, he's the backup target for Pittsburgh when they are unable to find somebody. He missed for undisclosed personal reasons week 6 in London. Feels like when, not if, he's on the move there. Tyler Lockett of the Tennessee Titans is next up here. Lockett also, I don't know if it's because the offense was bad. Doesn't seem like he has that much more left in the tank. He might have just lost too many steps too quickly, but Lockett, I think, is available too. Tennessee doesn't want to trade away its good players on offense. They help develop Cam Ward. I don't know if Lockett fits that category, though. Name a player who you want to see traded. I'd say let's keep it semi-realistic, but hey, you know what? It's your guys' show too. Sound off in the comments of today's show. Couple different tight ends here. Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. Isaiah Likely should be the long-term piece there. For a Ravens team that just doesn't seem to have the same level of juice necessarily anymore. And they're banged up. I think that's a factor. If they could, a little bit expensive, I think that's an issue as well for Andrews, but this one being on here does make sense. David Njoku is even more sensible. The Browns are bad. They're sellers. Njoku is slowly getting phased out. Still involved with what the Browns do on offense. Don't get me wrong, but I think big picture, this is Harold Fannon's team at tight end. And, not that Njoku isn't involved, but he's third on the team in yards and second on the team in catches, but Fannin leads the team in both of those. I don't know how much. If they can get something for another tight end, they'd probably make sense. Chico Okonkwo of the Tennessee Titans. And this one I'm very curious to see how it plays out in Tennessee with yet another regime change going on. If you're Tennessee, the rest of this year is all about developing Cam Ward. They do like Gunnar Helm, the tight end they took out of Texas this past year. So if they think he can surpass Okonkwo or replace him fully, maybe it makes some sense. This is kind of more of a good tight end, though. Couple offensive line trade candidates. Evan Neal is bad, but he's a former high draft pick, and those guys always get a second chance. Feels like free agency, though, next year for him. Kevin Zeitler, I think, could help a team. But, again, if you're Tennessee, do you want to jeopardize Cam Ward's health? That's one of those, kind of like how a team will get traded for an offensive lineman, even though they were bad. You do want to protect the investment. Today's show is made possible by Omaha Steaks. You get an extra $35 off on top of their 50% off site-wide sale by using promo code NFLDaily at checkout. From everyday dinners and effortless entertaining to unforgettable gifts, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. They offer unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. The early Black Friday sale is the perfect time to shop for the best deals. For example, you could get the classic favorites assortment, which is already on sale. Take off an extra $35 off. Get all that food, sirloins, pork chops, steak burgers, Frank's, fries, caramel apple tartlets, and more for under $100. That is Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher since 1917. Save big with Omaha Steaks. Visit Omaha Steaks for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off site-wide, or 20% off select favorites during their early Black Friday sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code NFLDaily at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites and $35 extra off by using promo code NFLDaily at checkout. Link in the comments section in the description of the comments of today's show. I want to go through these next three names at the same time because they're all relevant. Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, and Ethan Posick of the Cleveland Browns. I actually would be a little bit surprised if the Browns sold those guys. Not because of on one, it makes sense, right? Like, veteran players might not be back. The Browns are bad. But they also traded for Cam Robinson, which was let's make sure we don't get our rookie quarterback killed. I think from the Browns' perspective, the 5th-round pick, whatever you might get back for one of those guys versus what you might get as a comp pick for them in free agency, plus keeping your quarterback upright, might not be a 1-to-1 evaluation. They might be better off keeping them. Shelby Harris, the other Browns front, trench player we're mentioning here on today's show. I actually could see this one happening. I think he's serviceable, rotational piece up front. They've gotten some good play from guys like Mason Graham and Malik Collins. Maybe Harris is one who's available. Trey Hendrickson, we'll see what the back injury looks like moving forward. The trade for Joe Flacco on one hand screams, we're not selling. But if you keep losing games, they might sell out of necessity and having no other viable options to really justify keeping him. I think for Hendrickson, check in again 2 weeks from now. I think if Bengals lose all these next 2 games, at that point, they might just say F it. Keion White, I do think could be had. He's been a bit banged up right now. Also has seemingly fallen out of favor with this new Patriots regime. But we're not that far removed from Keion White being a really good football player. He's not generating pressures. He's not really doing a lot of things that would pop off the screen of this guy's been super impactful. I mean, got 5 tackles this season. He just hasn't been a particularly adept football player. 2 solo tackles. I have not been overly impressed by, but I think last year, 5 sacks in 13 starts. I think there is some untapped potential there. Cam Jordan of the Saints. Household name. Man, he's not the same player he was in his prime. The production has not been quite as good as what I think most people are so accustomed to seeing him do and produce. And I think this is one of those, does he want to retire a Saint? If so, he's not going anywhere. If not, you could see him getting shot. All right, Anthony Jennings, another edge rusher for this Patriots team. It's just not playing all that much. 7 tackles this year. No TFLs, no sacks. He's been a, 26% of the time snap count guy. He's got less than 70 snaps in the season. Has mostly been a special teamer, but also, again, new regime. He's been a serviceable piece as an edge linebacker hybrid. I mean, he had 14 TFLs 2 seasons ago. Maybe someone could maximize him a little bit more than this regime currently is. The Dolphins edge trade targets. Bradley Chubb, Jaylen Phillips. Both guys certainly seem available. Money issues on the Dolphins side with Chubb. They don't say very much by trading him. He has been more productive as a sack getter so far this season. But the pressures belong to Jaylen Phillips. And I think the Jaylen Phillips breakout is going to come at some point soon. This is one that it wouldn't surprise me if the Dolphins actually flipped Jaylen Phillips in particular, and then that guy, the final 10 games of the year, 9 games of the year, puts up 6 or 7 sacks. That actually wouldn't be overly shocking to me. So pick one to trade for. BC for Bradley Chubb, JP for Jaylen Phillips. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Arden Key and Draymond Jones, both of the Titans on this list. Both veteran players. That makes a lot of sense for a team that isn't going anywhere so far this season. Neither guy really popping off the screen. Jones is a little bit bigger. There was a point that Seattle did some weird stuff with him. I thought the Denver version of Draymond Jones that was really more of a 3 technique, I thought was a better player. But both guys are the veteran on a bad team. Fire sale alert, fire sale alert. We will have plenty of videos for you on trades on the NFL trade deadline, so do not miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Defensive backfield, Riq Woolen is an obvious name who is pretty clearly available. Fallen out of favor in Seattle, hasn't even been playing as much as of late. 17 tackles, 1 pass breakup this year. Far cry from the 6 interception guy we saw as a first-year player. He has essentially been benched. This guy screams Ram Eagle. Both teams need a corner. Philadelphia desperately needs when they had massive issues against the Giants. I would not be surprised if and when he gets dealt. Roger McCreary is an interesting name. There have been some really good moments out of McCreary over the course of his NFL career. He's undersized, not very long, shortest arm lengths in the NFL. That doesn't make him a fit for everybody, but he's feisty as all get out. He's got that undersized dog in him that I think matters for nickel corner types. He's young. I don't know if that means Tennessee will trade him. They might be better off keeping him. But again, potential fire sale team. New England has tried to trade Kyle Duggar already. They have been unable to find a partner. The money involved is the crux of the issue there. He was good in 2023. Sacks, pass breakups, interceptions. Wasn't as good in 2024 and has pretty much been relegated to bench duty, backup duty in New England this year. It just has not gone very well. Final name on the list, Tony Adams of the New York Jets, who has had a couple tackles so far this year, 2 pass breakups. Would free up more playing time for Malachi Moore. I don't really know who the Jets' other safety would be. I guess they could promote like a Nick Needham, who's kind of a nickel, or a Dean Clark, or maybe they can go add somebody else. But Jets trading a veteran does make some sense. Mailbag time here on NFL Daily. Use hashtag NFL or skip the line altogether via Super Chat to get on the show. We did have quite a few, frankly, hashtag NFL questions already come in. So get them in, additional ones, via hashtag NFL, or guarantee that you get on the show with a Super Chat. Does require the hashtag NFL. Otherwise, producer Aiden cannot find her question. So I'm going to sip my water here. Yeah. So last call for your mailbag questions. Hashtag NFL. Skip the line altogether via Super Chat. Now, if you're watching this live mailbag outside of a live show, on demand is what they call it, that means you couldn't get your questions answered. But that's okay. My Twitter DMs are open, and I would much rather have football questions than clear and obvious crypto nonsense and singles in your area crap that my DMs are filled with. So send me football questions on Twitter at What's Going Downing. First up, the Jungian Theory. Do you think Jonathan Gannon will get fired at the end of the season? Where does he rank on the hot seat right now? Fantastic question. I think that the incident with Amari DiMercato probably puts him a little bit more on the hot seat than he would like to be. I think that how the rest of this year plays out is going to matter. I think that what the collapse against Tennessee has the potential, when we look back on it, to be that is when everything changed in Arizona. And that ended up getting the regime fired because they did not rally and they let that loss linger and they were unable to hold on. They blew a fourth quarter lead against Indy. The refs did not help. If that stuff continues, I do think there is a real chance he gets hired. I think the Cardinals' plan organizationally is to bring back Gannon. I do think Kyler Murray is also very much on the hot seat as well. I don't know if those two are tied together, though, at the hip. Eric Simmons, will John Harbaugh be a head coach again if the Ravens get rid of him? I think he definitely will. I think he absolutely will be. They're different types of coaches, even their backgrounds of like what they do, like special teams versus OC are different. Reminds me a lot of like Andy Reid. Of like, the Eagles were right to move on from Andy Reid. It was time. They couldn't quite win the big one necessarily in recent memory. The last couple years weren't as good. 500, 4-12. Like they were right to move on from Reid, but it was always a good coach still. Sometimes you do have to, especially in the NFL. Like, shoot, man, you spend what? Reid spent 14 years in Philadelphia. John Harbaugh has spent, I think it's near 14 years too, right? 18 years, in Baltimore. That's a hell of a long time. And he's had, I think, one losing season in that time, 2 losing seasons in that time frame. I think he gets a shot somewhere else if the Ravens move on. But you can at least talk me into like, okay, maybe it is time to make some changes there. Michael Scarn. I think I saw several A.J. Brown questions in there, which we can hit more if they're more team specific. A.J. Brown trade coming. I don't think so. And I get that there's frustration in Philadelphia, which is weird because you're 6 games into the new year where you literally just won a Super Bowl. And I get Trader Howie loves to wheel and deal and make moves, but the monetary impact is not good. They do save $5 million this year, the pro-ish rated figure, if they were to trade him. But the real problem is they take on a $38 million dead cap charge next year, and his cap hit is 23. I don't see them eating $14 million in cap to not have A.J. Brown unless they're getting like a really good player back, which, Miguel's asking, should the Bills take a swing for A.J. Brown? Josh needs a true number 1. I get it makes sense for Buffalo. I think that although the whole point of the Bills offense is spread the ball around, like they make a big deal about that, I would wonder if Brown could have some diva tendencies there too. But, the Bills would trade a pick in a heartbeat, I think. I don't know if the Eagles want picks right now. So I don't think it makes sense in season. Maybe you could revisit after the deadline. But beyond that, I have some doubts on that front because that big old option bonus of $25.5 million already got picked up for A.J. Brown. That's a big issue for Philadelphia. So will the Eagles trade A.J. Brown in season this year? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote at the pinned comment of today's show. Dwayne Jackson, if Dallas is out of the playoffs, will they be sellers at the deadline? If so, which Cowboys will be dealt? Well, Cowboys looking for players or picks in return? Probably picks if you're sellers. Teams want picks. They don't want the guy that's bad for you, and you don't want you can sell probably free agents. No one wants any of your defensive players, let's be honest there. I don't think anyone's clamoring for Mozzie Smith. But I don't know, Jalen Tolbert, maybe one of your offensive line depth pieces, but Dallas might be a holder more than anything else. The Bright Wolf, the Falcons defense is legit and top 10. I was very impressed with how they played against the Bills. I thought they blitzed Josh Allen a lot. Seemed to have him with some complications, some issues there. They've done a really good job this year against the pass in particular, I feel like. EPA per play this year, they're top 10. Right there with teams like Denver and Minnesota. I have been very impressed by what Atlanta has done on defense so far this season. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on PrizePicks, where it is good to be right. It is the only app that offers stacks. Pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. My advice, stack Jayden Daniels passing yards, Jayden Daniels rushing yards, and Jayden Daniels touchdown this upcoming week for the Commanders. You can also follow other PrizePicks players direct and click. Check out the new feed tab on PrizePicks. One of my PrizePicks lineups, I'm going to go A.J. Brown, less than receiving yards against that funky, exotic Vikings defense. Cam Scatterbo, the touchdown, half rushing or receiving against Denver. It's a good defense, though, to be fair. And then Sam Darnold, more than 20.5 passing yards against another good defense in Houston. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. From Angel, just the messenger. Chris Olave, trade to the Giants. I think that makes sense for New York. If the Giants are going to make a trade, a young receiver is probably the most logical one. Plus, it helps develop Jackson Dart. I think that would benefit him. Short-term and long-term, you're getting benefits from that there. I do think the Saints would ask for a decent amount because whatever pick the Saints get back, they're then immediately using on a wide receiver. So I think it makes a lot of sense for the Giants. I do think that the Saints side of it is a little bit more complicated to vet and figure out how it all ends up playing out. But I do think Olave is a logical name to call about, at least. Daniel M. I have to think that if the Cowboys get a second chance to get back in the division, take advantage of the Eagles' downfall. If we beat the Commanders on Sunday, we go to 3-1. Yes, they do. Do you have faith in any of the defense? Like, honestly, like your offense, unless the defense suddenly gets good, why do you think that the Cowboys are going to be able to consistently win games? They're closer to last place in the NFC than they are to a playoff spot right now. Like that's the reality of the playoff picture. I would caution some hype on that one. Stacy's mom, who has it going on, is Mike McDaniel the next fired coach? It would make sense, right? I mean, like the vibes are so bad in Miami. You have your quarterback coming out after a narrow loss going, yeah, you know, players aren't going to the players-only meetings. Don't say that, man. That stays in-house. Like, I get you're frustrated, but, like, that's not supposed to come out to the media. That's one of those things that, like, you even deny if it gets leaked, essentially. It's a theme, though. There isn't discipline on that Dolphins team. There's a little bit too much, laissez-faire attitude. I think that stems from the head coach. He's a good offensive designer. I don't know if he's a good head coach, though. So I would not be surprised if he gets fired. Plus, the defense is right up there with Dallas for the league's worst. Who will be the next NFL head coach fired? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who do you think is the next head coach to get canned? From Lore, why do the Niners offensive linemen struggle and don't open rushing lanes for the running backs? Skill issue. Honestly, that's all it is. The scheme is good. The talent, honestly, just is not good enough. Trent Williams is awesome, but he's getting up there in age. Like, I like Dominique Puny. He's a third-round pick. Okay. Colton McKivitz, I don't love. The interior of that line right now, and I know that they're banged up. I understand how decimated by injuries they are. You know, Ben Birch and Spencer Burford have all gotten hurt at various points this year. They're on IR. But, like, the starting offensive line is, like, Colby Connor and Jake Brendel. Like, go get some good players in there. Like, that's what I think. It's a skill issue. El Capitan 22, a $10 super chat. Thank you, El Capitan. I appreciate that. If the Giants beat the Broncos, should they go for a receiver to be their number one this year and next till Neighbors gets back? Even if it's a re-sign situation like Chris Olave or Jacoby Myers, I am not opposed to that. I'm frankly on board. If you can get the right piece and not give up too much, because there is still a scenario in which, like, even if you beat Denver, you come back down to earth a little bit and you win 7 games. Like, how early of that pick did you give up there? If it's the right value, I think it makes perfect sense. I think for the Cowboys side of it, or for the Giants, there's a Cowboys question coming. For the Giants side of it, can't overpay. But if you can get a option that's not just a 1-year solution, I do think that's a good idea for the Giants. So if I were New York, I would be searching around the wide receiver market. You got some great play out of Lil Jordan Humphrey against Philadelphia. I don't know if you want to lean on that every single game. Pancho Gons, why does the Cowboys pass rush so bad? Their pass rushers are not Micah Parsons, but they did get sacks in the past. And all of those players got sacks in the past when there was a better player drawing attention away from them. Right now, you put your Cowboys defensive front four out there, and it's your best group of pass rushers. So it's Dante Fowler and James Houston and Osa Odigizua and Kenny Clark. Well, there's no one that inspires fear of the offensive line of, okay, we have to game plan on this guy. You never have to slide protect. You don't have to chip. You don't have to do any of that. It's just, we can go man-on-man with these guys. But it's not that big of a deal. If you have to chip on Fowler, well, that takes him out of the play. Because he's not a superstar edge. Micah gave the Cowboys gravity. He was a gravity player where he created his own orbit. There was his own little attention span paid to him, and it freed up more valuable one-on-ones on the other side. That has not been the case this year. If anything, they just double-team Osa, take away the best interior pass rusher. This group of edge rushers worked when they were the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, or even the 3, 4, 5 with Osa as the 2. Everyone gets bumped up a slot, and the efficiency drops as a result. Plus, they don't ever do stunts. It's stupid. Tater Tot, thoughts on Mike Tannenbaum suggesting Raiders trade Maxx Crosby to the Bucs for a 2nd and 4th rounder. Yeah, stupid for Vegas. Maxx Crosby's awesome. Watch a single game of Maxx Crosby. And so I mentioned the gravity from Micah Parsons. That man creates his own orbit too. He is an Iron Man. Never misses games. Never misses snaps. Frankly, great run defender, elite pass rusher. Raiders would be stupid to only get the 60th pick back and whatever in the hundreds. That's a horrible trade for Vegas. Haven't done this yet this year. I always enjoy it. Put your bad trades in the comment section of today's show. Feel free to trigger me in the comments with some bad trade ideas. From Melvin, who should the Falcons trade for during the trade deadline? The issue that the Falcons are gonna run into here is they don't really have a lot of viable draft capital to be sending around right now. Remember, they traded their 1st-round pick this upcoming year to move up to the Rams. They have their 2 and 3 and 4. That's great, but they're down their 5 as well. I do wonder how willing they're going to be to start moving around that 2nd and 3rd. If you can find another receiver option that could make some sense, then again, maybe Drake London and Kyle Pitts to an extent and Bijan Robinson are enough. Mooney's been a bit banged up, and even then it's Mooney and receiver 3 is the agglomeration of Casey Washington and McLeod and Hodge. It's just not, it doesn't really move the needle. I do want to monitor some of those O-line injuries. That might be a red flag for them as well. TV and sleep. Bills fire McDermott if they miss the playoffs or if they don't win a playoff game. Oof. He's been on the hot seat in the past. I'll throw this out there. If they fire him, I wonder if it would be to prevent a team from hiring away Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. And I wonder if they go, we need to keep Joe Brady at all costs. That's when I can kind of say, okay, that one might actually make some sense. They've won a playoff game, though, for 5 straight years. And that's really hard to do. When you're 500 in the postseason, that actually means you're really good. But if it craters, I don't think it's going to crater this season. I can understand where you're coming from there. Now, if you have a trade idea that you want featured on our NFL mailbags, subscribe so you don't miss out. We got daily videos for you each and every single day. From Borat, very nice. Should the Lions be pairing a premier rusher with Hutchinson at the deadline? If they can get one, sure. I don't know if they're defined premier for me in the end. I'm calling the Dolphins. Do they want to move Jaylen Phillips or Bradley Chubb? Phillips might make a lot of sense for Detroit. Just like what they have, where you go find a bigger bodied edge who you can kick inside on some 3rd downs, because I don't love the interior rush on 3rd downs. That actually might be a good idea for the Lions. Depends on who you can kind of find a way to acquire, but I do think the Lions should view themselves as contenders and go make a move for one of those players, sure. All right, who we got on Thursday Night Football? B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. B or S? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. It's very funny. I asked for the stupid trade ideas in the comments. There have been bad trade ideas, and not all the audience was there for the bad trade ideas, so they're calling them out as bad trade ideas. So it's kind of funny. It's funny. I appreciate it. It was on purpose. I asked for it to have fun. Who you got, though, on Thursday Night Football? B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. Christian, I didn't put it in the mailbag because it's going to go out Saturday, so it's not going to be available for it. If you think Joe Statue Flacco is beating Pittsburgh, you're delusional. Bengals have no O-line, no defense. You've seen the way the Steelers played the last 2 weeks. Yeah, B to A, or BTA. Sorry to disappoint you. So he hates your take there, Aiden. Wait, we'll know who's right in 53 hours or something, somewhere in that ballpark. So it'll be fun to see how it plays out. So get your votes. I do think Pittsburgh wins, but AFC North slugfest means games don't make sense. That's what that means. It means that weird things happen in a way that they probably should not happen. So Who you got? B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. Coming up on today's show, Mel Kiper has dropped his first 2026 NFL Draft Big Board of the year. He's ranking his top 25 prospects. We will break them all down for you here on the show. And we've got all the NFL draft coverage you could want. Do not miss out. Hit that sub button, whether you're watching on the Chat Sports YouTube channel or on our NFL Draft dedicated YouTube channel. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out right now. The number one player on Mel Kiper's big board, perhaps it's a surprise, it is Oregon quarterback Dante Moore. And Mel did do this after the not-so-great performance against Indiana. I think you need to see less of that and more of the previous couple games going forward. I do like what I've seen from Dante Moore. There's a lot of good stuff. There's accuracy. There's deep ball touch. Number one overall is a little bit rich for me. I think Mel is often boosting positional value for quarterbacks in particular. There is lots to like about Dante Moore. I still don't think any one quarterback has truly emerged as the top guy this year. Number two is a running back, Jeremiah Love. I will say, he's awesome. He is explosive. I think he's far and away the best running back in this year's class. Far and away. He's also been more involved finally as a pass catcher. He's not going to go number two in the class, but kind of like Bijan, very different players. We're going to be discussing how early can you justify taking him. Number three, another quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, who has done a much better job about holding the ball a little bit too long. The arm strength is NFL caliber. The size is very good. He does some real quarterbacking things. It's not just like, I love watching John Mateer. I love watching guys like Sam Love. They're super fun. They're kind of chaos agents. Mendoza does like the real quarterbacking stuff at times, and he is mobile enough to do some stuff scramble. I don't think he can be a pocket passer anymore. Mendoza, like a pure pocket passer as a rookie. You have to offer more than that. Like Burrow moves well in the pocket coming out of LSU. Mendoza offers that. One of my favorite players in this class is Arvell Reese, the linebacker out of Ohio State. Listed at 6'4", 243. Do you know where the Buckeyes have often deployed him? As an edge. He's lined up on the outside. That's why he has 4.5 sacks this season. I have seen him make plays in all the different ways you want a linebacker to make plays. As a blitzer, going downhill, side to side, dropping back in coverage. I'm glad Mel put him at 4. I forget which mock draft we covered last week. Didn't have Arvell in round 1. He needs to be. There are some Micah Parsons similarities there. Peter Woods is number 5. Not as good of a season for a guy that I was hoping could be like the best player in the class. I think he's been playing better as of late, but the impact, frankly, has been a bit of a disappointment relative to expectations there. Number 6, Makai Lemon is wide receiver 1. I had made the comment earlier this year when we were first mentioning Makai Lemon on some of our draft coverage, like, yeah, he lit up Missouri State and Georgia Southern. What's he going to do against better competition? 8 for 127 and 2 total TDs against Michigan State. 11 for 151 and 2 scores against Illinois. 9 for 93 and a touchdown against Michigan. He's him. Who is the best player in the 2026 NFL Draft? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who do you think that best player is? Number 7 is Caleb Downs. This will be a popular answer and for valid reason. Brother, by the way, of Josh Downs, the Colts wide receiver, fun fact. He's highly intelligent because he started as a true freshman for Alabama. I don't know if the NFL is going to like him as much as I do, as maybe even as Mel does, because he's a safety. They don't value safeties very highly. I think he's better in the box, but I do think there might be some questions about him as a deep-end true free safety. The NFL let Kyle Hamilton fall pretty far. I could see it happening with Caleb Downs, too. Number 8, Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State, who has also been putting up some good numbers this year. 523 yards and 7 touchdowns, not that far behind what Makai Lemon has done this year. He's in the conversation for wide receiver 1 as well. I think Ruben Bain is too low. He's got like a 19% pressure rate this year, which is absurd. Great size. The freshman version of Ruben Bain was really intriguing. He's like, man, this guy had 7.5 sacks, a true freshman. How good could he be? And he was banged up, 3.5 sacks this past year. He has been awesome. Even if the sack numbers don't always show it, he has been disruptive game in and game out this year. Today's show is made possible by Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide, an extra 20% off select favorites during the early Black Friday sale, and an extra $35 off by using promo code NFLDaily at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That extra $35 off makes you even more savings. You can get the Griller's Essential Bundle, smash burgers, filet mignons, chicken breast, pork chops, more steak burgers, Frank's, and even the caramel apple tartlets as well. Omaha Steaks has grass-fed, grain-finished beef, which has more marbling for exceptional flavor, and is the choice of steakhouses and professional chefs around the world. Omaha Steaks offers an exclusive lineup of USDA-certified tender steaks, and their fan-favorite filet mignons have achieved the distinction of USDA certified very tender. Save big with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their early Black Friday sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code NFLDaily at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's it. 50% off at omahasteaks.com, promo code NFLDaily at checkout to get an extra $35 off. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Number 10, Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle out of Utah, has started left tackle and right tackle in his time for the Utes. I think part of a upside-heavy offensive tackle class. I like Keldrick Faulk quite a bit. The defensive end out of Auburn, 6'5", 285. This is the frame and size that you're looking for. The sacks, again, haven't always been there for Auburn. I think the pressures have been pretty darn good, though. He's a damn good football player. Carnell Tate has been make-a-play time guy for the Buckeyes. Look, Jeremiah Smith is not eligible, but oh my God, he's going to be so good. I think he's going to have a huge rest of the year for Ohio State. I think has kind of grown as a reliable route runner this year too. Great body control. He looks like the next Ohio State first-round pick. Another guy that might never be a number one for his team too and be a first-round pick. Jermon McCoy has not played this year, but he was really good before he went down with his injury, so it is still a assumption that he gets healthy and makes an impact, but I get why he's so high. Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. I love the way he moves at his size. I think that there's a lot of upside athletic ability here. I think he's been better as a blocker at times this year as well. Looks like tight end one. TJ Parker, again, hasn't been as good this year. He had 11.5 sacks and 16 TFLs last year, down to 5.5 TFLs and 2 sacks this season. I think he's probably been a bit more disappointing even than Peter Woods, but still going to be in the first-round pick conversation. Another quarterback, Ty Simpson, who has been really good this year. Go back and watch that, not quite game icing, but like that big-time fourth-down throw against Missouri. It's a lot to like on that particular play. He's been accurate. I don't think there's an overwhelming physical skill set, but he has enough in everything with arm strength and mobility to make it work. Really good stretch of games coming up for Ty Simpson. The experience is limited, but he has been impressive so far this season. How many quarterbacks go in round one of the 2026 NFL Draft? There's one more name that cracked Mel's top 25, but let me know in the comments right now. Avion Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson, checks in here at number 17 overall. Again, I feel bad saying the exact same thing each time, but hasn't been as good of a season as what Clemson was hoping for, and I think that's shown up at least at times with Avion Terrell, who just hasn't been as impactful, dynamic as what everyone was hoping for. But I do think he is still a very good corner prospect. He is a little bit undersized, though. Francis Mauigoa, the right tackle for the Miami Hurricanes. They've been pretty darn good this year. Mauler at his best. I think he's also – there are some questions like, can he play guard or tackle in the NFL? I'd try him there first. I think he does have enough foot quickness to stay out there at tackle. Number 19, Amari Washington from Oregon. Man, you don't find guys that size who move like that very often. Although it feels like every year there's one dude in the draft who we describe that as. 6'3", 330. The bull rush against Indiana was really impressive of just running right through an MFer's face. I think there's a lot to like there for him. And I think Pateo Ungule, another good Oregon defensive player. David Bailey doesn't offer that much as a run defender, but all he does is get sacks. You know, he's at 8.5 sacks this year already. A pressure rate that's like above 23%. He's been really good for Texas Tech. Just isn't necessarily a household name. Here's the other quarterback, Lenoris Sellers. The touchdown numbers are not there. The traits are, though. I mean, he is dynamic, the arm strength, the strength, the mobility. It's just he's still a little bit inconsistent. He's young, and maybe would be better off not even turning pro this upcoming season, but from an upside perspective, you might not find a better one in this year's class. I am a little bit surprised Zachariah Branch cracked the top 25 for Mel. He's fun and explosive, but he's not Georgia's leading receiver. He's a good return man, but he's got less than 300 yards this season. This feels a little bit more like sheer traits upside for a guy that I think should probably go back to school. I think the linebacker class is really good this year. I think there's a lot of talent. And C.J. Allen out of Georgia is one of them. I think he was actually one that knocked out that goal line fumble first. I think it was the broadcast spent so much time on the other lineman. Allen got his hand in there first to initially jar it loose. 4.5 TFLs, 3 sacks, got some pass breakups. I think there's youthful talent here with C.J. Allen. The other USC wide receiver, Jacoby Lane, who has missed time with injury, by the way. Bigger body at listed 6'4", 200 pounds. The days of USC having good receivers appear to be back. Caden Proctor, the offensive tackle / Wildcat running back / bubble screen receiver. I can't wait till Alabama deploys the Wildcat throw with Caden Proctor. It's going to happen. That's the next pivot off of that package. He was terrible to begin the season, to the point that I'm like, boys, is this guy going to be able to hang and like develop and like be the sum of his parts? Like there's, listen, at 6'7", 366, it's kind of insane. But he allowed like 6 pressures first week of the season. Since then, 6 total. Has been much, much better as of late. Are some questions if he can stay at tackle or if he has to move inside to guard, though. Who did Mel Kiper leave off of his 2026 NFL Draft Big Board? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who did Mel Kiper leave off of his Big Board? Some other notable NFL draft prospects. John Mateer is his next ranked quarterback. So I do want to mention that. We might go in depth on his quarterback rankings in the future. Denzel Boston, Chris Brazzell. Look, the Tennessee receiving route tree is not good. He actually does real stuff, though. Like, Jalen Hyatt always got a free release because he was never like the front man on those bunch packages. They let Chris Brazzell be the front guy. He does actual routes, not just run downfield, be fast guy. He's actually more than that. Caleb Lomu is the other Utah tackle. LT Overton, I thought had a really good game against Missouri. We've put him in like round 1 conversation before. I thought it was a bit kind of slow to get the game, the year going, but he was, I thought, really impactful against Missouri. Had a couple sacks in that game. Cassius Howell has been just a nightmare to defend as a pass rusher this year for A&M. He's got 24 pressures on 134 snaps. It's really good. Really good. Anthony Hill Jr., big name. Not sure he's as well liked within the NFL. And then my guy, Mansour Delane, out of LSU. Thursday night football. Who do you got? B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who do you have? B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. And then a super chat, $5 from CJ DeYoung III. Going to be a tough week for you, Tom. Cowboys blow it, and the Bengals are going to lose. Sucks, man. It is what it is. You know, I like watching football more than anything else, so that's how it goes. I have no faith in the Cowboys beating the Commanders. But the line is weird this week. Have you guys seen what the line is of the Cowboys-Commanders game? And look, the Cowboys are at home, so I do want to acknowledge that that's probably a factor. It's 1.5 in favor of the Commanders. That's super sus. That's one of those does Vegas know lines? Do they know? Do they know? They should not be 1.5-point dogs against the Commanders. That's one of those do you know something lines? Do you know they're home? I get it, but are they just gonna be good? Is that what's happening? I don't know. We'll see. Bengals, by the way, are 5.5-point dogs at home against Pittsburgh. So who you got? Thank you for the super chat, by the way, CJ. B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. B for the Bengals, S for the Steelers. Let me know who you got coming out on top of the Thursday night football matchup. Should have some live coverage for you of that as well, as we've been doing here on Chat Sports. The guys catch Mitch last Thursday night. You guys see him in the Taylor Swift red dress. The man's hilarious. So make sure you guys are subscribed. We'll have a live show for you again next week as we rapidly approach the NFL trade deadline. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/chatsportstv.